Hi Cancer, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and this is going to be a general reading for you for April 2025. And this channel focuses on you, and in particular your journey back to yourself, back to your authentic self, the person you're always meant to be. And so in today's reading, I have picked a really good spread for you. It's the Yellow Cardinal Cross. It's going to give me a really good idea of what situation you're sitting in, if it's a pattern, a decision you have to make. And then we're going to look at the conscious influence on this. It's going to be something that you're aware of that's influencing the situation you're in. And then we're also going to look at the unconscious influence, and that's what you're not aware of. And that's going to be taken from your unconscious, your shadow. It's going to be something that needs healing from your childhood or maybe your adolescence that's affecting the situation. And then it's very important in this channel that I always give you some sort of help. So I'm going to ask the tarot to give me what's needed for resolution first of all, and then they're going to give me some guidance. And then I'll also give you a suggestion or two for a playlist or a video that I think would help you in getting to where you need to get, especially if you've resonated with what's going on, if this is your situation that you're sitting in. So in today's reading, I'm going to be, first of all, pulling cards from the Tarot of the Abyss. And then I'm going to be clarifying that with the Radiant Rider-Waite. And then I'm going to be pulling you a Shaman's Dream Oracle card at the end, which I find that some of them have been spot on for, well, most of them actually, for my readings. I'm going to put you on speed shuffle so I can set up your reading, and I'll be back in about 3 seconds. All right, Cancer, I'm back. I like to kind of get an overall sense of the reading by looking at what cards repeat themselves. And for you, you have 3 pages on the table. And one of the pages is the Page of Cups, and it's repeated twice. That's really important, because if I had to pick one of the pages that was the most important, the one that you needed to pay attention to, it would be the Page of Cups. And that is really good, I think, is going to be what your reading is about. In that, you'll see when I start talking about it, it is a part of us that, an inner part of us that needs healing. So needs a lot of healing, and we'll talk about that. So let's begin with, you're going to get a Page of Cups for sure, but you have, for the situation that you were sitting in right now, you have the 9 of Swords in reverse, and then you have these 2 cards came out together, and then you have the 5 of Swords. So they're both in reverse. So let's start off with about, and I think because they're both in reverse, it could be on your part, maybe there's a fear or a resistance on your part to dealing with this or looking at it, or, and often that's the case when stuff is coming up in our system. We don't want to look at it or deal with it. But the 9 of Swords in an upright position speaks about this individual that's waking up at night, just tossing and turning, right? And you can see that, almost like there's nightmares, or she's in the middle of a nightmare, or, maybe you're having a lot of sleep issues where you can't fall asleep, or you're getting up all the time, or you are waking up really early in the morning, 3-4 o'clock, and you can't get back to bed, and things like that. And for me, when that happens now, and I've applied this to my own, this card in particular, is that for me, this card represents some sort of a memory, something that's coming up in your system that is needing healing. But, and that's when it affects our sleep. And believe me, I've had so many sleep issues in my own healing journey. I was actually on a PAP machine for about a year until I worked through a lot of my trauma, and I was able to get off the machine. And I don't have the machine now. But I had to go to the sleep clinic and all those things. And this was before I got into, right before I got into my intensive healing 8 years ago, I was on a machine for that. And so I'm very much aware what this is. It's something that's coming up in your system, but your ego self will block it. And that's what's going to wake you up from this, because you can get a lot of information from your dreams as well. And so there's something here that's coming up for you, but it's definitely, there's a fear that you don't want to look at it. It's getting blocked, and maybe I've spoken about your ego. Maybe your ego self doesn't want anything to do with it. And your Five of Swords is right behind it. And the Five of Swords is this, I often call this card my bullying card. And take a look at this little boy that's looking at his butterfly that he's trapped in this jar, and he has a pin in his hand. I almost see this as a gruesome card, but he knows that he can at any particular time open up this jar, and one prick will kill this butterfly. And so it's almost like this power that he has over this helpless butterfly. And so I'm wondering if you're just feeling powerless over some situation that's coming up for you right now. This is about bullying, and it's about control. And you know, your Hierophant card comes up, and it's about being the way you were wired, when you were growing up. And there's a few cards here that are talking about that. So there's definitely a memory here that's coming up for you that has to deal with bullying and people controlling you. And then you have this little Page of Cups, and here's the first time that we're going to be introduced to the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is, first of all, an inner child. All of my pages in my deck are inner children. You can have more than one inner child, because you know you have the Page of Pentacles that also comes up as well. Because I've been on my own healing journey for 8 years intensively for my complex trauma, so I know that I have more than one inner child. I do parts therapy. And so this particular part in us is called the love seeker. And it's that part of you that continues to try to get that love that you didn't get when you were younger. And so you'll seek out, and you know, maybe this is what's coming out for you right now. Maybe you're somebody that continues to, for some reason, the wrong people show up in your life. Toxic people show up in your life. Maybe you have patterns in your life where you seem to attract the same people over and over again, and it's like, I thought I learned my lesson from the last one, and it's happening again. I swore this would never happen, and here it's happening again, right? It's that little part of you that has to get that love, and it becomes a chameleon. It'll change. It'll put a different mask on for every person. It'll change themselves just to please you, just to get your love. And that's this part of us that needs so much healing in us. Because when you were younger, and you have a Page of Cups in your shadow, by the way, this is what needs healing in your childhood right here. You had that little part of you. That's where it's formed, because you didn't get the love when you were younger. And so it continues to wreak havoc in your life, and trying to go after those people that hurt you. And unfortunately, you go after, you draw these people in, and they hurt you over and over and over again. And you know, you are a water sign, and you are Cancer. You are someone that very much was hurt by people, and you're very sensitive, and maybe you were told that you were too sensitive when you were younger, right? So this little part has come up for you for healing. And maybe you're feeling it wreaking havoc in your life right now. And that there's just a lot of, when these parts come up, this inner part, these inner children, they need healing. They need to be listened to. They need us to give them the voice. And we need to grieve for our losses, for their losses. And this is how we heal this part. A lot of grieving, a lot of shame, a lot of unworthiness that sits behind all of this. And you know, that's where the bullying comes in, the shame. You know, the shame of maybe you were bullied when you were younger. And so that's where you're sitting right now, where you're feeling this need to, maybe you're feeling the need to grieve. And oftentimes when that grief comes up, And that explains why the Nine of Swords is coming out here. When you're needing to grieve, when there's a real pull towards needing to grieve, our ego self will come in and block it. And that's where those sleep problems come in, because the last thing the ego self wants you to do is to touch your emotions. And in particular, it is absolutely petrified of grief, because it feels like it's going to eat you alive. It feels like there's this huge wall of grief that's coming towards you, and you don't even want to touch it. You can't touch it. And maybe you know you're sitting there, and maybe you know there's some grief here that you have to get to. But your ego self is the most scared part. It'll tell you, don't you dare go and touch this. Don't you dare go near that. It's going to eat you alive. That's my favorite emotion, is grief, because that opens up so much. Just to grieve gets rid of all this stuff that we've been carrying around. And so what are you consciously aware of about this situation of needing to grieve and being blocked and your feeling of unworthiness? And what are you aware of? We have the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is in reverse here. This is an offer from the universe. It's an offer to take your life in a new direction. Do you want to go into a different direction? Are you wanting to, maybe you've been sitting in this for a long time. Maybe you're stuck. You're stuck and you're tired of this little love seeker that you have that keeps attracting these wrong people in your life, toxic people. It's like, are you tired of this? Here's another offer here. It's in reverse, because I think there's a fear or a resistance on your part to seeing it, to taking the wand. I think you know you're being nudged in this direction, but maybe you're a little bit, you're not wanting to go there, and that's what that ego part is trying to just keep it all down, shove it all down. And then you have a beautiful card that comes right behind this Ace of Wands. It's your Empress card. She's a little bit bent. Maybe I had a hard time getting her out, but she came out. She's the third card in the Major Arcana. And she's the second half of the feminine energy in the Major Arcana. The first half is the High Priestess. She is the Empress. She's all about creativity. She's all about emotion. She lives from her emotions. She's not afraid to ground into her emotions and feel all of those emotions, including that grief. But boy, she's blocked right now. You're like pushing this down. You're trying so hard to I don't want to feel this. And here's the Ten of Wands. It came in sideways. Look at these wands. You've been carrying this for a long time. It's pretty heavy. You've been carrying this. It's been a big load for you. And it's almost like done you in completely. It's sideways right now. And you know that. You need to get rid of this load. You know that you have this. There's this inner part of you, this little love seeker that needs healing, that's been calling at you, pulling at your leg and saying, it's time. It's time for you to grieve for me. I couldn't do this when I was younger, and it's time for you to do it now. And, Cancer, you are the sign that feels, but we can have this ego that comes in and tries to block it. And so you need to feel. You need to get sad. You need to grieve. What's in your unconscious? What is the unconscious influence? This is what needs healing. This is what, that is really impacting all of this, impacting the conscious influence here. It's impacting your situation. It's what needs healing. It's what's preventing you from grieving. So let's take a look at that. You're going to start off with the Knight of Swords. And the knights in my deck there's 4 of them. I call them my freedom fighters. They're like an adolescent part of us that everybody has. It's the freedom. If you think of an adolescent, how they want to be free to do what the hell they want. They want to be free to be them. They want to be free to be authentic. They don't want people to control them. And that's this part of you that's buried here in your unconscious. When you were younger, there's this part of you that's been almost like, you know, bursting for you to, when you were younger, you didn't want people to control you. You wanted to be free from oppression. You wanted to go towards your authentic self. But you've buried that part in you. And because it's buried in your shadow, and that's where we've put all the things that we repress, we don't want to look at. And right now it's that part of you that wants to pull you into, towards your sword, towards your authenticity, your truth. And it's sitting here. There's a part of you that's pulling you, and maybe that's why. Like, you can feel quite hopeless, and you can actually feel anger at these people when you were younger, I think, that didn't give you the love that you needed. Because here's the Page of Cups again. Here's your little inner child. That's that inner child that holds all your memories, and it holds the cup of love. That's how powerful it is. And it's the one that knows, like, that needs to grieve. It holds all your shame of who you were because you weren't loved. It holds all those memories of times when you weren't loved. It holds all the memories of when you weren't supported. This is the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles talks about a co-creation card. It normally, when it's not in my shadow, it talks about getting therapy, going to find some, getting some help. I don't think there was anybody around when you were younger to get help from with all your emotions. You know, here you are just picturing yourself as a child, wanting that love, trying to get it from different people in your life. And that's, you may be a people pleaser. And that's where that comes from, those people-pleasing tendencies. It comes from that the trauma of not getting the love we wanted. And so we became that little chameleon with people. And so that we could get their love, you know, we turned on the sweetness. And we tend to do that when we're older. These are survivor skills we learned when we were younger. And we continue to do that. And that's what's happening, I think, with you, is that you're feeling very much like these such a burden for you right here, the situation you're in, these emotions, it's the emotions of the page of your inner child that need to be felt, and you've been carrying it around for so long, and you're feeling like you don't have any support. This Ten of Wands that you've been carrying around, it's a heavy load. This is what you felt when you were younger. You didn't have the support. And so you carried it on your shoulders. And here it is, you still carrying it. Right? So this is bringing you back to your childhood and what needs healing, the grief. And so let's go into what's needed for resolution here. The first card is the Lover's card. And the Lover's card is a card about, look at these two trees right here. I love the portrayal of the Lover's card. How intertwined they are, how they've become one, how they rely on each other, they lean on each other. But it's a very dependent relationship. They stand tall, but they know they can rely on each other. They're almost like they're one. And the Lover's card comes out when there's a big decision to be made. And it's a card of a decision to go inwards. And so I think here there's a real call for you to go inwards, to get grounded, because we can only feel this grief of the little love seeker that's come up twice here, and now you're getting another inner child here. We can only heal these inner children of ours if we decide to go inwards and get back in our body, because that's where our emotions are. That's where our grief is. That's where our shame is. These emotions that need to be healed. Because you have your second page here, your Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is the inner part, your inner child. That was about 4, 5, 6 years old. That's how old our inner children are. And this particular inner child holds the pentacle of our body. And it knew when you were younger, it was you were in your body when you were very, very young. You were very much in your body. And you had self-worth. The pentacle is all about self-worth and feeling good in your body. You knew what that was like. But, we end up, trauma sets in, things happen to us. We feel like we don't matter, we don't get the love. And so this part of us can feel very, very unworthy. It holds your unworthiness. It holds your shame of not being loved. And it needs healing. It needs to be heard. I do that through my journaling. I talk to my inner children all the time. And then as I was shocked, kind of, these two cards came out together for what's needed for resolution. You have the Magician and then the High Priestess. You have the first two cards of the major arcana that come out for cards. And no surprise here, you get the third, the Empress card over here. So we talked about the Empress and how she was feminine energy. And she's the emotions. Well, here's the first two cards of the major arcana. Number one is the Magician. And he talks about, and this was one message I was told when I first started my own therapy. I was told that, Carol, you have all the answers in you. You have all your answers in you. And I hated that because I wanted my therapist to give me my answers. I wanted her to tell me, can you take away my pain? How can I take away my pain? What can I do about this? And, your whole top row was telling you, you need to go inwards. You need to start to get grounded into your body. You have everything in you. This is the master manifester. You have everything in you to change your circumstances. And you can do it. It's like this Magician acts like a lightning rod. It uses the power of the divine that comes through them. And they ground it to the earth. And, we can make a lot of decisions in our life that are very ungrounded because we're not in our body. But, there's this thing called this intuition card that comes next, which is the first half of the feminine energy. And this represents a beautiful feminine quality that we have. And we get to our intuition, which is our own gut knowing, by getting back into our body. And this whole top row is saying, it's time for you, Cancer, to go inwards, to get in touch with these inner children in particular, again, to get grounded. And you have the power to do this. You have everything in you to change your course here because you have inner knowing, intuition, inner guidance. It's going to tell you. It's going to tell you where to go. It's going to give you your answers. And so what's the guidance from the tarot? What's the guidance from the tarot? Well, you start off with the Wise One. Love this card. The shaman, elderly, is sitting here with two individuals. He's teaching them. He's teaching them what he knows. And, they're going to go on because they're sponges. Well, maybe they're not that young. They're young enough, but they're learning. When you're learning anything new, you always learn from someone that's had experience in what you're needing to heal. And I was fortunate enough to find my own trauma coach that, knew what it meant to be sexually abused and trafficked, like myself when I was younger. And that's who brought me, out what I needed to heal and continue to heal. And this Wise One right here, this is the Hierophant card. And this is the card that says, guidance from the tarot says, how were you wired when you were younger? What were you told? What was your sense of obedience? What is right and what is wrong from you? What is right and what's wrong? What have you been taught about that? This card says it's time for you to question. It's time for you to question. How were you wired when you were younger about this whole feeling, these emotions and feeling your grief? And, how are you wired? What happened to you when you were younger? Because the next card that comes out is this generational trauma card. This is a card of generations. There's 3 generations on this card. And it has the Kabbalistic tree of life here, this formation of pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles. It's from the Jewish culture. It's a card that studies lineage. It's time for you to look at, what did you inherit from your parents? Shame is something that's given to us, that feeling that we don't matter. It was something that was given to us from our caretakers because they had it. And, you had the bullying card right at the beginning here, and that's the shame card. Shame is not something we're born with. It's something that's handed down to us. And so how are you wired? What was handed down to you? Here's the Eight of Swords. A person that feels like they're trapped, that can't get out of something, who's totally given up. And maybe that's you. And maybe that's you. You're giving up. You feel like you can't get out of this, like completely. And the universe wants to say, you know what? You can get out of this. There's a way out of this. And the way out is to get back in your body and to start to feel some of these emotions of shame and grief, getting in touch with your inner children. I'm going to leave you with, there's a few things here that you need to, before I read, I'm going to read your shaman's dream in a minute, but I think there's like, I would like to see you journal to your inner children. Try journaling if you haven't done that, journaling from your emotions. And I have some videos on that. I have some videos about grounding and getting back into your body. And so you can get in touch with some of this grief, and this shame that you're feeling. I have playlists on shame. And so I'm going to give you this one video that I have that from my other channel. It's called Facing Your Own Shadow. It's my powerful 4-step guide to shadow work. And in that video, I made a compilation of a lot of other videos and how I do shadow work. And you'll find I talk about all of these videos in it. And you can pick one that's kind of calling your name right now and think, you know what, there's something I want to work on here. Whether it's your shame, whether it's your journaling, whether it's your grounding, you get to pick what you think is, necessary. Maybe you'll find it. Maybe they'll say something right now. So let's look at this card that's here for you, Cancer. It's called In the Hand. The universe is your partner. Beautiful card for you right now. Something amazing happens when you contemplate your intimate relationship with your higher power. How do you engage it? Perhaps you might have seen things through the influence of your religious background, or you may have been exposed to other ways of making that connection real for you. It doesn't matter the source of your understanding. What matters is what works for you. And I said that, like, go to that video I'm going to leave and pick what's working for you right now. For example, if you believe in a punitive God, you will be afraid of punishment for your transgressions. If you believe in a version of a higher power that blesses you, you may find it easier to surrender to a relationship of radical trust. Right now, if you imagine relaxing, curled up in the hands of the divine, how does that make you feel? Can you then turn over your needs and desires to that divine power and trust that you're safe and secure and don't have to do anything at all to feel that way? Grace is activated in your life now. You're in good hands. Your work, family, relationships, home, everything. You've done all you can, so now is the time to rest and recharge instead of producing, doing, acting, strategizing. A hot tea, a good book, and a soft blanket are in order. I think that's a real call for you to get still and to get grounded. That might be where you might want to start, because I said maybe we'll find something in this card. To get still, stillness is a real feminine quality. Because when we get still, we can get back. We can ground and get back in our body and get in touch with our intuition. So, beautiful reading for you, Cancer. I want you to have compassion for what you're working through. This journey to heal yourself is the most difficult journey of your life, but it's the most important one. So I'll talk soon. Bye.